Welcome to Life Picks Relationships, helping you understand and enliven your marriage through the various perspectives and experiences of others who found a way to prioritize what's really important in life. From new love to those that have weathered the storms, let's get ready to take your relationships to the next level with your host, ST.
Hey, Life Picksers, hope you're having an awesome day. Are you starting to see where you and your partner are in this parent-child relationship with each other? If not, go check out the previous episode with Dr. Wright and Jean, obviously after you finish this one, because today we're discussing the real reasons relationships fail. We are on for hitting 1 million downloads per episode by the end of 2025. Can you help us reach our goal and share this podcast? Obviously, only if you like it. If you don't like it, I'm not sure why you're listening, but if you do like it, make sure to share with your family and friends so they too can go have an extraordinary relationship, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads. Now, for today's episode, we're going to discuss the real reasons why relationships fail. We've got a Tedx speaker, podcast host, author, and psychologist, Abby Medcalf. Thank you so much, Abby, for being here. I'm super excited to start speaking with you. You want to tell us how you met your husband?
Do you know what? The personal ads. And I have done personal ads for I don't know how many people, and back in the day when you put it in a newspaper.
Yeah.
I've had very good luck with those. And I had my best gay wrote it, my best guy friend. And I still remember the subject line was "Babe with Brains." And he wrote it. I was like, who knows you better than your best friend? Who knows you better than that? And because you don't say the right things about yourself, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Also, when someone else thinks of you, not just what you think of yourself.
Yep. So he did a great job. Yeah. I'm one of those.
So cool.
I know. So to everyone out there, there is hope, and you can have great relationships from people you meet online.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's get right to it. What do you think is the real reasons that relationships fail?
Oh yeah. So, because I really talk about this a lot, I've been working with couples all these years, 35 years now, because I'm old. And I have to say, so everyone comes in usually with the same thing. We don't communicate. It's what they say over and over again. We're not communicating. We need help communicating. That's all I hear. And really, the communication is failing because of a different problem, which is competition. And we compete with our partners all the time. And this isn't really just in love relationships, but that's what we'll talk about right now. It is, we compete all the time. It's your turn to put away the dishes. I took Sally to baseball on Monday, so you have to take Jack to piano on Friday. You spent money on this thing, so I get to spend money on that thing. We divide all the time. We do this sort of thing. And what happens is we end up on opposite sides from our partners because, we're in competition for resources in the relationship, money, time, all those things. And that jealousy that happens, I see it all the time. And it's not even just with couples I have who have children. It's all over. Where I think with kids, it's more about time. And with couples without kids, it's more about money. But sometimes it's time too. And there's this subtle, you were out with your friends all weekend. When is my time? There's this jealousy. There's this not liking when the other person is doing well. Actually not liking when someone's doing well. I had a couple.
But why is that? If you really love a person, then you want the best for the other person.
You do. But if you think it means loss for you, you don't. So if you're in competition.
It doesn't have to be loss for you just because the other person.
Right. It shouldn't be. But so I'll give you an example. I had a couple not long ago, and he just got a big promotion. He's going to be traveling all over Europe, which he's been really excited about and trying really hard for. And her first reaction was, great, I'll be stuck at home taking care of the kids. Right? It's There's a competition, and there's this subtle thing that's happening that the problem is we're fish who don't know we're wet. So we don't realize we're doing it because we've been raised.
Yeah, what you're saying is all different ways of what I call self-awareness. I always say before communication comes self-awareness. If you don't know what's going on here, why you don't know that you're wet.
I mean, it really is that. And I think that there's just such a, especially here, I have clients everywhere, but I would say, especially in American culture, there is just such this, because we are an individualistic culture, there's such a thing about if I have this, then, you don't have that. There really is this competition, and you can't base a love relationship on competition. It doesn't work. And so, of course, when we communicate, it doesn't work well, because there's this underlying theme that if you get, I lose. So I'm always going to be, but I don't think people notice when you talk about self-awareness. I don't think they notice they're doing it, because it's so much a fabric of our culture. Like, your turn to put away the dishes. Nobody blinks at that. Nobody says, they're like, yeah, it's your turn. It's a horrible thing to say to someone you love. It's terrible. It's your turn. We're keeping score. Like, oh, I did. And that's what people do. Someone will say, like, hey, can you do this? Can you take out the garbage? And it's like, I did this, I did this, I did this. They list off all the things they've done. That's keeping score. That means you're in competition. I mean, all those things are like that. And even doing that in your head, tracking, what your partner's doing or not doing, we do it all the time. I'm guilty of it sometimes. But when you come back, to a love-based place, obviously it's just generosity, right? It's just being there 100%. But people.
So what's the solution to this?
Well, it's to give 100%, no matter what is coming back at you. You give 100%, because that's your job. It's not 50-50, it's not my better half, my other half, right? It's 100%. But of course, a lot of times folks are, I'll give 100%, but if she doesn't start showing something, then, and that's not 100%. That's with a string attached. And I'd say the thing I hear the most is, and it's even, I'll see comments like this. Well, oh, you're just being a sucker. You're going to get taken advantage of that way. And I can't imagine being with my person, and that's what I'm worried about. That's a scary thing. You're going to build a home with this person, have a mortgage, buy property, whatever you do, right? Buy car, buy things, have children, and you think they're going to take advantage of you. That's some scary.
There's a much bigger problem there, going back to self-awareness. Like, if you can't fully give 110%,
yep,
there's something else wrong there. You don't trust your partner. Right. There's some maybe abuse going on there. That's just not.
It's not always
healthy.
Abuse. You'd be surprised. It's just, again, what people learned, maybe, just think of somebody right now. Her, this woman was like hiding money in the marriage, which a lot of people do in their relationships. They hide resources. And, because she remembers her mother had money tucked away and fund money and things. Like, it's just, you don't think it's a problem. You just go, that's how it is. That's just.
Yeah, because if that's your norm, you have no way of knowing that that's not your norm until you're exposed to it.
That's the fish not knowing they're wet. Like, you just assume that this is the way it's supposed to be. We sue for divorce in the United States. You sue someone, you sue them. Like, you sue them like you would sue a neighbor whose tree crashed in your yard. I mean, it's horrible. So the way it's set up, it's just such a, sides and such a thing that, it's set up kind of in a yucky way in a lot of ways when you think about it. So you have to make sure you're not setting it up that way, that you're not setting it up as a sides and, what's on my side and you have more and I have less kind of thing.
Okay. So how do we do that? If you don't know you're wet, how do you go and figure that out?
Well, here's how I start. So there's this great research by Timothy Wilson, one of my favorite books, Strangers to Ourselves. He has another great book, Redirection. Anyway, he's a brilliant scientist, but his work showed that our conscious brains process information at a rate of 50 bits per second, and our unconscious brains process information at a rate of 11 million bits per second. That's not crazy. If you really just think of that for a moment. So your partner is always hearing, they don't hear what you say, they hear what you mean. And that's why a lot of stuff doesn't work, because, like when I give some great tool and someone will go, oh, I'm going to go use this tool now. And they go use it, but the whole time they're doubting. They're thinking, oh, this isn't going to really work. It's too simple, or our problems are really big. She doesn't get it, or whatever, right? It's been going on so long, or we've changed before and we always go back. All of that. So even though you're doing the new tool, that's what your partner's picking up on, the incongruency, and they don't trust it. And that's why you'll hear people say, yeah, she's nice to me today. Let's see how long that lasts. That's what they do, because they're getting what you're putting out. And so it's super important that you really work on that piece, on making sure that your thoughts are very much aligned. Again, it's that, really it's mindfulness every day, right? Practicing every day, being mindful. I do all kinds of stuff on that. But when you do that, you're aware in the moment of, oh, I'm feeling, angry at my partner, or I'm feeling resentful. Resentment is really ugly, right? And so you can start to shift it if you notice it in a moment.
Yeah. Okay. So once you have that mindfulness, once you're aware of what's going on, you're having the right intentions, your actions are matching up to what you're really feeling.
Yep.
Then things will like work out, or there's more things that you have to do?
Well, there really is more. And so there's another part of your brain, which I talk about a lot. You have something called you might have heard of it, your reticular activating system, or your RAS for short, right? Yep. And your RAS is basically a filter between your conscious and your subconscious mind. So whatever you think of consciously, it sends it as an instruction to your unconscious to look for that thing. And the easiest example I always give people is if you've ever bought a new car and you suddenly, or even thinking of a new car, and you see that car everywhere you go, yep. It's not because they started making the new car. You had a conscious thought about it, and it sent it to your unconscious to look for it. And that's what happened. What happens?
All of a sudden, this seemed important for your brain. So that's why you're going to start noticing it.
Yep. So what happens in a relationship is if I think my husband's always nagging me consciously, right? Oh, he's always nagging me. Guess what? It sends that as an instruction to my unconscious to look for my husband nagging me. So I will see it everywhere. It's also called a confirmation bias, right? When we prove ourselves right. But here's the really scary part of the RAS. Because the brain is so efficient, it will filter out anything that doesn't match what you're consciously thinking. So when your partner is appreciative and they say nice things and they say thank you and how gorgeous you look or whatever, guess what? You're like Teflon. And I can't tell you how many couples have sat in front of me arguing. You didn't say that. Yes, I did. Well, just yesterday I said thank you. No, you didn't. It's this bizarre, and they're both have this very different reality of an exact conversation and it's because of the tricks the brain has. So what you really want to do is be programming your RAS all the time, knowing it's there, is programming it all the time. So towards what you do want, not what you don't want. We spend a lot of times with our partners focusing on what we don't want. And you can't get what you want when you're focusing on what you don't want.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Because again, your brain is going to be thinking what you don't want. So it's going to go and create that.
Yep.
thing.
You're just going to see it over and over. And then you're going to think, oh, see, I'm right. And you're not right. You're skewed, right? You're seeing things in a skewed way. So instead, you can program it for what you do want. And I always say that to folks. So they'll say to me, I want my wife to nag me less. And I'll go, okay, our brains can't think in the negative. They don't what is nagging less?
There's images,
right.
And there's no picture for no.
Right. So what am I can still nag you just a couple times a day? Like, what is that? So I'll say, what does that mean to you? What would that feel like or be like if she wasn't nagging you? And then they can get it. They're like, well, I'd feel appreciated. I'd feel really loved. I'd feel respected. I'd feel, they have these words. I'm like, okay, so let's focus on that. Right. So let's focus on that. And a lot of times it's number one, acting the way, what you want to see in the relationship. You have to act that way. If you want to have respect, you have to act respectful. If you want to have appreciation, you have to be appreciative. So you start to do that and really, and some people call this, law of attraction, but it's more than
that. Yeah, that was like one of the things I was wondering if you were going to say, if we're going to mention it, the law of attraction, like if you're pro or against. I was like, this is a science behind how it works.
Yeah, there is. I talk a lot on my podcast about law of attraction and other stuff I like the science. I like the brain stuff, and really just what I mentioned lets you know that. So if this 50 bits and this 11 million, right? Yeah. And this RAS.
Listening to your podcast, I know that, but I was like, anyone listening to you now the first time knows.
And we really do. I know if I walk in and Gary's in a bad mood, I know the second I walk in the house, he hasn't come to the door. And too, if you've ever been in a relationship and or your parents or whoever, like someone walks in the door and you're like, there's like a disturbance in the force. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of feel, or you're walking down the
street. Yeah, we did a whole episode on it. Mind mapping, 133 guys.
Mapping. I listened to that. Yes. I listened to mind mapping. I love that one. I really like the one, by the way, with Ruby and Pradeep. What was his name?
And Pradeep. Yes. Oh. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Now I'm fangirling. I'll stop.
Masculine and feminine energy, whole couple. Yep.
I just sent a bunch of people to it the other day. I'm like, you have to listen to this. Anyway. Yes. So it's that same idea though, of we really do pick up on people's vibrations, or again, this unconscious versus conscious. So when you're thinking of what you want and when you're acting in that way, it really is what starts to show up. And I talk a lot about being the dominant vibration in the room, because sometimes someone will say to me, well, I was in a good mood and then my wife came home and then she was upset. So then I was in a bad mood. And I'm like, why? Why did the bad mood win? Why didn't your good mood win? And what, is there one more powerful than the other? Is there one more, valid than the other? No. So, but there's this idea, and I talk about being the dominant vibration in the room. You go in with your calibration intact. You go in with like how you're feeling. It's the height of codependency to then be upset because they're upset. That's changing your feelings based on someone else. That is the definition of codependency, more or less. So, right. You don't want to be emotionally codependent in your relationship. And really the worst thing my Gary ever needs, if he is in a bad mood, is me to be in a bad mood. Like,
yeah,
he needs like love and patience and kindness. And, I don't have to take it personally. I don't have to do any of that. Again, we're not in competition and we're a shared resource. So if he's in a bad mood, then our battery is being drained. So I need to make sure what I'm bringing into the pool, I don't want to have two drained batteries and, that are sharing. Right. And so it's all the more important to really,
you're the plug.
There you go. To really be in that energy of what you do. Again, what you do want, not what you don't want. And my favorite way to get there, by the way, is to ask questions. I say, like I'm preaching to the choir right now. I say all the time, well, my thing is don't sack your relationships. So don't offer suggestions, give advice, or criticize. So, right. So what's left is to ask questions. So what I might do, Gary's always in a good mood, by the way, but let's say he's not. I might, he's like a big golden retriever, but anyway. So I might, something like, hey, don't ask why questions, right? It's what questions. How questions, those kinds of things. So
I do say why when you've created a safe enough space. It's not the first thing you're going and you're attacking them. Why? But like after a few questions into the conversation, when you really want to understand what is underneath and the person knows that you're coming from a loving place, not to just go and attack them, then I think it's safe to go and ask why.
It really is. It's just, we know that why questions trigger a certain part of the brain, defensive. Which I'm trying not to trigger no matter what. But don't kill yourself if you ask a why. But I can often just say, hey, can you tell me more about that? Is probably my favorite question. Yeah. Hey, tell me about your day, as opposed to how was your day? How was your day gives you nothing. Fine. Good. Same thing with kids, by the way. What'd you do at school today? Nothing. There's nothing there. Right. But, hey, how was your day? And people have to think for a minute, how did your day go today? Were there any big bumps? Were there any whatever? But I want to start asking some questions, and he might say, oh, it was fine. We had this meeting at the end. It was really, tell me more about the meeting. Can you tell me more about the meeting? Oh, I don't want to. It sucked. It was bad. Oh, did you feel like you didn't get heard in the meeting? Did you? And sometimes people are going, I don't want to go after it because they're, saying they don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, yeah, but they are talking about it by their actions. Right. So don't again go like, why are you in a bad mood? But, did anything happen in the meeting? And again, don't diagnose people. I'm such a control freak. I don't like when people tell me how I'm feeling. They'll say, well, you seem mad. You seem this, you seem that. And it's like,
you don't know what I feel.
I get very upset. So don't diagnose your partner. You seem mad from that meeting. Don't do it. Just ask questions. How is the meeting? Just find out more. Is there anything you need right now? That's a really nice question. Is there anything you need right now? Is there anything I can do for you? Is there one thing I could say that could really help you feel good right now? Is there one thing I could do that would really help you feel home and calm and centered? These are like lovely, warm.
Yeah, just like pure love.
we like to give big love.
Yeah. Now I just want to go back before you mentioned about the fact that if you want your partner to go and be acting a certain way and to be doing a certain way, the best way to go is start by doing it yourself. Now, recently, just this week, I posted on TikTok, actually, exactly that, tick on that. And people were like leaving a whole bunch of comments, obviously people who weren't listening to this episode and who aren't as knowledgeable and in this as much, but they could not understand that if a man wants one thing and a woman has a different need, then why, if I behave this way, he's not going to want that. Why is that going to work? I want to explain on that.
Oh, yeah. I get that too. It's because it's what I always say. Do you want to be correct or effective? You could be right all day that they should listen to you this way, or they should know what you're thinking, or they should, that's lovely. Is it effective? Are you having the relationship of your dreams? Do you feel loved, cherished, and all the good stuff? Then again, sort of be that person in the relationship, model it, what it is. And what happens is you build trust that way. And when you build trust, then you start to really have the relationship you're looking for. But I call it relationship gridlock when everyone's waiting for everyone else to move their car. Well, he has to say it first.
Yeah, funny that you bring the car up, because if you want to be right on the road, that's to say, right? You want to be right or die. So
Yep. Like you can't. So I always choose effective. I want to be effective. So what's effective in this situation is to ask questions, is to do this thing that will help, in some way. Now, you got to be careful of codependency, right? I'm not going to do something just to make them happy. That's like weird. You don't make people happy. And
even if you try,
if there's things that are important to them, Gary loves these Spartan races. Do you know about these Spartan races? These like obstacle course races.
Oh, yeah.
Things. He's insane. Mm-hmm. He's like ex-Navy. He thinks these are fun. He's like weird. So he loves these things. He loves to go on Spartan races. He loves them. And I'm wearing stilettos right now. Like I don't run. Like I don't do this stuff. But it's really important to him. So I go to the races and but I go work all day or see the sights. I do something else while he's doing crazy stuff, but I'll come back to the hotel. I'll fill the tub with ice. I'll go out at night with the people from the race. I'll take photos for them. I support this thing he loves. I don't give up my whole life for it. I don't, I can't go on every race, but I'm not a Spartan fan. I'm a Gary fan.
Right.
And so It's actually with pure love that I do it. I don't have any resentment at all. When we do these things, because I see this man is so happy when he's doing stuff. It's so sweet to see. He's in so much joy.
And there's no competition there.
Right? There's no competition. I am like your pit crew. What do you need? Let's go. And I make things work for myself. Of course, it's not that hard, but I don't have to go do this thing he loves doing. And I think people think that a lot. Like, well, I have to like do it, or, I have to do this. And you don't. You can support in other ways. Do you know what I mean? That don't require you to like decide that you're now going to be an obstacle course racer. Like you don't have to do that.
Right. You're not becoming your partner. You're not trying to, they don't need a copy of themselves.
Right. Exactly. So did I answer your question? Is that like where you were going, or was there something more specific? I know.
Listening, I hope got a better understanding of that.
You have to find the love. Do you know what I mean? It has to be from a loving place. That's it. You love this person. And
so which goes on the flip side of you go and support him. How does your work affect your relationship? He's like my biggest cheerleader. I mean, he brags about me. Sometimes it's embarrassing. Like we'll be out somewhere and he's just going, "Oh my God, you see her thing? She was written up on CNBC and her podcast and this," and he's talking and I'm dying. It's like, that's not how I want to be introduced to people. He's super proud of me. Proud of you. Yeah,
he's super proud. He's very, I make sure that he doesn't feel in competition with my job. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I make sure he feels as much as I can.
Special in his own way.
Yeah. And my kids too, like you guys are you people are all my priority. I love you up every chance I get, and I make sure that the interactions we have are very meaningful. One of my favorite things is to do little micro connections, right? I always say great relationships aren't built in a day. Great relationships are built daily, right? So it's like this micro connections all day long. And one of our favorite things is we greet each other at the door like nobody's business. Like whatever you're doing, if the other person comes in, we joke that we're like golden retrievers at the door, like all excited. You know how your dog gets like so excited you're home? We do that for each other and really welcome him home. We make out at the door. We like hugging, kissing, like really high. Not, I'm in the kitchen cooking. How was your day? What happened? None of that. Like it takes a minute to turn off the stove or put down my laptop or whatever. It takes a minute and go to the door, really connect, really say hi. I'm so happy you're here. And you'll be amazed at what starts to happen from that.
Yeah. How it makes you feel, how it makes your partner feel. It's
dynamite.
That's great. Now, did you ever have competition in your marriage?
I'm sure there is sometimes, I think.
Like, what about like in your earlier years before you were in this, or like you didn't personally have that problem?
I was older, in relationships. when I was younger, I had all I did all the wrong things young. Like I did everything you can imagine younger. I got, married in my 30s. I had kids in my late 30s, early 40s. I was a late bloomer to all this. I really, was all about school and my career and, doing my thing. Yeah, sure. I never have been a jealous person. To me, it's like, if you want someone else, go have them. Like, God bless, go get them. I don't really take much time with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I used to, I think, compete more. And when I finally really learned all this, like really got it, I did something called the Course in Miracles way back. And I'm a recovering drug addict. So I was in 12 steps. And I think there's just something about self-awareness and really trying to be different and really working on yourself that heroin can save your life, I guess, in some way. I don't recommend it to people, but do you know what I mean? I think as I came through that in my 20s and, did more therapy, all the things, I really got what was important.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Now, do you think, how old are your kids?
I have my son, Max, is 17 and he's a junior. And my daughter, McCartney, she just turned 15 and she's a freshman in high school. They're just finishing.
Okay. So when your kids are like at these stages and they're starting relationships, they're not like marriage yet, but they're having like their girlfriends or boyfriends and their things. Do you think they have a better, like solid background than how to act in relationships because of you?
Yeah.
Do you like I can't see yourself pushing yourself on your kids at all, but like give them advice or totally just like let them figure things out for themselves? How is it like being a kid really in your family?
They should answer that. Well, we get along.
Yeah, if you want to bring them on.
I know, really. Max would love it. Oh my God. He's always asking, can I be on the podcast? I'm like, stop. I write about him in my newsletter all the time. So he's like a star. I get along. My kids are amazing. Like I did not raise a-holes. Like they're great kids. And Max does poorly in school and he struggles and all the things. Like they're not perfect kids, but they're good people and they're really kind.
What's way more important?
I think so. I'd like the grades too, but I'm going to take what I got. And they are, I think, really, they have really close friendships. They're good at relationships. Do you know what I mean? They have close relationships. And Max has a girlfriend right now and she's adorable and sweet. And we talk about it, like boundaries and things. The key is to ask questions there too. It's so hard. And I don't always do it well, but I will ask, like, how do you feel about that? And what happened with that? And tell me more about this. And as opposed to just saying it. But I'll tell you that a lot of it with my kids is really focusing on their relationship with themselves and liking themselves and really being aware of their thoughts and their self-awareness. That's where most of my focus is. I was just thinking,
and they really like themselves because as teenagers, most people don't.
No. And they're really pretty good. Like there's no complaining about stuff. Like they just don't complain, but there's no.
So what advice would you give to someone who has teenagers now who's like seeing their kids
show
themselves every day?
They're watching you. And so I'm just thinking like, so yeah, just Friday, Max and I had an appointment together. We drove across town together. And then I had all these ear piercings on Mother's Day. Anyway, long story, but one of them broke and I went there and Max waited in the car because he didn't want to stand on the pavement at the cool place in Berkeley with his mother, which I understand. But I was online for like 50 minutes. It was so long. And I was getting because it was literally 3 minutes and I was getting impatient and I was noticing. And I noticed it though, because I practice what I preach. And I was like, oh, you can't just be. And I started talking to people and, it was fine. So, but it was almost an hour. I get back and I was texting him and he was like, no problem, Mom, don't worry. So even just that, no moaning, no complaining, no nothing. He was like, you can't help it. Don't worry about it. So he's really watching. Right. And then I get back to the car and he had put the car on a little bit. He doesn't drive yet. So he didn't know it would drain the battery to listen to the radio. So I get back after an hour of waiting in the heat and whatever. And the battery's died. It's dead. So, and for a minute, you're like, oh, Mac. And then he felt terrible. And I was like, don't worry, we have AAA. It's fine. Like, let's call, like, we're safe. It's the day. We're not, there's nothing to worry about here. They came really quick. And, he's seeing all that. He's watching me react to things. He's watching when things don't go my way, when things are annoying, and then of course I always take a teachable moment later. And I say to him, so thank you for not complaining this afternoon. That was a lot, that you was waiting and we were hungry, but we pigged out later. But, I really talked to him about it. And he said, no, you were cool. I really appreciate it. I left the car like that, And it was this we have a lovely afternoon together. We chat. It's fine. He's got his friends. He's very independent, but we have a good, solid relationship. And I
love that. It really starts with you and how you see if you would have come back to the car and just be complaining and I waited here for so long and
can you imagine? And then I would have come to the car pissed. And then this thing would have happened. I would have blown my top, right? Oh, Matt, I would have lost, and we would have had this horrible and still had to wait and stuff. None of that happened because I talk about this a lot. You have to stay ahead of your momentum all day. You have to, if there's a car on top of a hill and it starts to roll, you don't want to run to the bottom to stop it, right? You want to stop it at the top. So that means all day long, you can't just allow your brain to be thinking, oh, my husband sucks and I hate him and and I hate this work and this sucks and that sucks. If you're doing that all day, you're going to get crushed under the wheels by 4:00 and you'll likely be fighting with your partner, impatient and snappy, having too much to drink, having too much to eat, dealing with it, as opposed to the fact that I was online really in my moments, cool, figured out. It wasn't like I was thrilled to be waiting an hour. I was fine. There's nothing I can do. Just hang. I really was fine. So
it happened already.
That momentum carried to the car. So when this next bad thing happened, this thing happened, I was already calm. So you really can't just allow your brain to run wild all day and then expect to be a great partner at night. It's not gonna happen. So you have to watch your momentum all day and stay ahead of it. Stop that car on top of the hill all day long, thinking about what you do want, not what you don't want. Thinking about being the dominant vibration in the room, not calibrating to other people, that kind of stuff.
I love that so much. Okay, so before we get to our final question, where could Life Fixers connect with you and learn more about you?
My website has everything, which is just my name, Abby Medcalf, ABBYMEDCALF.com. It has the podcast, the blog, the YouTube. You
guys got to check that out.
Yeah, the YouTube channel, all the things, all my social media. My TED Talk's on there, all the social media, everything is there. And I have a very big mission to make sure that there's great relationship information accessible to everyone, regardless of ability to pay. And that is why all that stuff is free. I don't have sponsors on my podcast. I sponsor it myself. Or on the blog, there's lots of free stuff. There's things you can pay for. There are, but there's lots of free, really good things that I would pay for. I don't put anything out unless I pay for it. Not a thing goes out that I wouldn't pay for myself. So there's a learned optimism training on there that's free. There's a workshop. There's all kinds of stuff to really help people feel better. Because I believe we wouldn't have bullying and hate and crazy divorce rates and all the rest if we were happy in our relationships. So that's my mission. World peace. That's my mission.
I love that. World peace starts at home.
Not? Right? Why not?
Yeah.
Think big? But so there's lots of free stuff there. And hopefully, even if it's not for someone, you could share it if you want to. It's really meant to be disseminated and practice.
Awesome. Okay. So for our final question, how do you describe an extraordinary relationship without using love, connection, or intimacy?
Lots of laughter, feeling heard, feeling understood, feeling trusted and trusting.
Yeah, I was wondering if I should put in trust for you. I was you're for sure going to say that.
Yeah, it's you could. But it's really about feeling like this person's your biggest yes. No matter what else happens, I'm your yes. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I will be such a big yes in your life all the time. That's to me the only reason to be in a relationship. That's it, right? That's at the end of the day why we're there. We want to feel like this person really has our backs. It doesn't mean that they don't disagree. It doesn't mean anything else, but it means we're a team and we see the world from that vantage point of being a shared resource in a team.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you, Abby. This was amazing. I had such fun chatting with you.
Me too. It was so great. Thank you so much for having me.
That's all for this episode of Life Picks Relationships, and we have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support this show, but also give others what they need to take their marriage to the next level. We're striving to have 1 million downloads per episode by December 31st, 2025, so please share it with your family and friends so they can turn their relationship into an extraordinary one.